Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. In this video we are going to talk about the Grand Banquet. I'm going to break down some stuff for you, let you know the best way to approach this for your own mental health, for your own financial safety and all that kind of stuff. We're going to talk about where the guaranteed values are, how to get some of these reworked champs, how many rank 4s are people going to have when this whole thing is over. I'm going to try to break it down as best I can with the information that I have on this morning of the banquet before you start popping crystals, so that maybe this can be a little bit of advice to you. Now, I have used this analogy in the past, but we all know what the banquet is. It is a major source of revenue for this game that we love, and in order for them to keep the lights on, they need to do some stuff like this. And when it comes to gameplay, this is definitely not the most fun and engaging game mode that they've ever created, but it is a highly effective way to keep players engaged, allow people to open a bunch of crystals, see some absolutely ridiculous whaling, and make a lot of money. And you know what? You are part of that, and that's fine. You don't have to spend any money, though. You can use hard-earned units or completely skip it, and there's absolutely nothing that's going to occur during this event that will set you, light years behind. Because as soon as this thing is over, we're cracking into a new year where there's going to be new content, and a lot of the juiciest rewards that the top whales will get will be available in content just a little bit later for you. So always do remember that. The analogy I've always made with the banquet is it's like attending a fundraising gala. Most of the people that do that, they spend a minimum for like a seat at the table, a nice dinner, a glass of wine, a party gift, and you head home. But there are some people that are willing to bid on the auction items or raise the paddle and make a major donation to whatever this gala is that you're at. And those people get extra perks and they walk home with a trip to Barbados or something like that. Whereas you still get to attend this great event, dress up, have a nice glass of wine, enjoy the evening, and get some guaranteed value without emptying your pocketbooks. And that is the way I always approach Banquet, because I don't want to spend more of the premium currency of the game, the units that I've grinded over the time. I don't want to necessarily be spending money on this event. I think it's just a good way to participate and get some free value out of it. So anyway, the first thing I want to do is break down a little bit about the spending levels of your premium currencies. And this means, you might be sitting on a certain amount of units like I am. I've got about 30K units, and I'm debating how much of these do I want to spend. Or you might have a little bit of time to grind over the 2 weeks that this is live, or you may be considering spending a little bit of money. And what are these thresholds? So the bottom line is that you should always use units within your budget to get the most guaranteed value. Speculating on just the superior banquet crystals is never a good endeavor. You can of course have fun and you could get some really crazy RNG, but if you are just participating in this event to try to get the contents of the crystals, while you will get some good and useful stuff, you're actually going to feel like you're throwing your money into a giant fire pit if you only are looking at the value of the crystals. What you really want to be thinking about is the milestones and how far up the ladder in the solo event, the realm event, and the alliance event you can get to get the most guaranteed value. Now, this year, the contents of the Superior Banquet Crystal are quite good. We have a Titan Crystal Shards. We have Tier 4 Alpha, like fully formed ones, and fragments. Those are great to have. You have a selector of all 24 champions in the exclusive pools. I'm actually really hoping to get this because I want to dupe my Void, and that is a great way to do that. I could also dupe my Hulkbuster. It's pretty wild that exists. I really like that one. And then additionally, there are the box keys, which are the ways to get the 6 glorious guardians, the reworked champs. Some of them are guaranteed, but there is the chance for RNG that you get one of those. And then of course, Sig stones are also very rare. And the rest of it is just like useful catalysts that may not be as flashy, but we could always use more tier 6 class catalysts and rank 4 materials as well. So, my first advice to you is I'm about to give you some like thresholds of estimates of how many units you can spend to get some of the guaranteed box keys. But in general, I wouldn't recommend spending all your units at once. Like, buy these things in small batches and then check in on the events to see how high you've gotten, because people are going to be doing math on the side. The math may not be exactly right because maybe you bought some daily deals in the past and had some Banquet crystals, right? Maybe somebody didn't consider some of the free ones that we get. Maybe there's like an additional calendar that we didn't think about that gives you some of the free crystals and things like that. So, essentially just know that as you are going, don't just spend like 30K units all at once and be like, all right, I'm done. Like, do it in small chunks and keep checking in on the milestones. That's my first advice. You don't want to like overspend your units and then be like, oh man, that last 1,000 units that I just spent didn't get me the next milestone. I didn't get anything out of these crystals. It was a total waste, right? So go in small chunks. Now, in terms of the totals that you need to spend, I've seen a few people make these calculations, and I apologize, I don't have any way to credit these. I've seen some spreadsheets, and I've tried to correct the math myself a little bit, and they look pretty solid, but I don't know who made them. So I apologize to all the summoners out there doing the crazy math. But from what I've seen, these do look like they're accurate between, like 500 and 1,000 units when it comes to these thresholds. So first of all, the earliest like really high ticket item that you can get is the Alliance event box key, which is going to require, I think, somewhere between 2,500 and 3,000 units or so of net units spent, right? So that means you do get some units back, you do get some free crystals. So somewhere around the like 3,000-ish range of spending. If you buy like 10 crystals, for example, you should easily get the box key for the box gacha that will get you one of the reworked champions, right? And then along the way, you'll be getting some nice catalysts and some useful materials. Now, unfortunately, the other two guaranteed guardians that come with the box keys are much later down the line. There's one in the Realm event and there's one in the solo event, and those both hit somewhere between like 11 and 13K. Again, I'm sorry for the wishy-washy math. It's just there's so many different factors, and I've seen different calculations and my own calculations. So it's somewhere in that ballpark. So like if you're sitting on 12K units, like you might be able to grind out a little bit more to make sure you get both of those. And then at that point, if you've spent somewhere around, it's somewhere around like 12 or like 500 or like 13K or so, I think, to get both of them, then you will end up with 3 of these box keys, which means you're guaranteed to get half of the reworked champions minimum, and possibly more if you get good RNG on the actual SBCs. Now, if you get a little bit over 15,000 units, which is kind of where I am thinking I'm going to go, my basic goal is to get the 3 keys, but also to go all the way up to the Isophene dupe, which again is somewhere around somewhere between 15,000 and 15,500. It's somewhere in that range, which is like buying 50 crystals, right? So if you buy 50 crystals times 300 units each, that is like 15,000. Maybe you need to buy like one more crystal above that. And if you spend that many units net, then you will most likely, if the math is correct, get the Isophene if the Realm event gets that far. So that means every catalyst, additionally, you get a fully formed Awakening Gem with Awakening Gem shards. So that means you get a gem crystal, 10,000 shards of Awakening Gem shards. You also get a fully formed Glorious Guardians Awakening Gem, which that particularly means that if you get the 3 guaranteed Glorious Guardians, you are able to awaken one of them. So if you happen to get your favorite one, you can awaken them as well, guaranteed. That's really nice. There's also some Sig Stones along the way, and just catalysts that you're going to be able to use, like rank 3 materials, rank 2 materials, and things like that. So for me personally, the thresholds, once again, were like somewhere around 3,000 for the first box key, somewhere in the like 11 to 13,000 for the second and third box key. If you're going to do one of them, you might as well do the other. And then finally, if you're like a little bit over 15,000 or so, that is what it's going to take to get every milestone, save like the last Titan shards in the Realm event. There are some extra Titan shards at the very end. Now, this is all just talking about unit usage. If you remember, you get 300 points for buying any superior Banquet crystal, and then 100 points for opening it. The ones that you get in the milestones only count for the opening points. But what happens when it comes to spending money on top of units, right? I'm talking about my own personal situation, which is units in the bank I already have without spending money. If you are going to spend money, there's usually two types of deals. The first one is like $50 for a handful of actual SBCs. Now, when you spend cash on the SBCs, you do get the purchase reward as well as the opening reward. So just know if you see crystals for buying with money, you do get the double points, which is great. So those are always good value because, you know, and if you don't have the units, it's usually like more bang per dollar than just buying the units outright. However, there will also be unit packs sometime during the deal, and most likely there will be more guaranteed rewards for, you know, buying an Odin and things like that. So essentially what's going to probably happen is, talking about the Glorious Guardians, is that you will be able to get 3 Glorious Guardian keys guaranteed from spending, like, you know, around the 13,000 units, like I said, and getting all the milestones in the events. And then there will be more for sale in the web store. And I don't know per se like what that will look like, but it is my estimation that by spending some extra money, you will be able to get all of the Guardians guaranteed and perhaps some dupes as well along the way. Now, in my opinion, I really wish that they threw 4 of the keys in just the milestones, because at 3, you basically have a 50% chance to get your most wanted champ. I would love it if there was a free-to-play way to get more than a 50% chance of your favorite guaranteed champs. Like 4 out of 6, that means, you know, you're going to get 2/3 of the actual champions and over a 50% chance to get the one that you really want. Because right now, it's, if you really want Medusa, it's a coin flip, right? And that seems like a lot of units to spend to just get the coin flip. So they are really incentivizing spending money on top of it, not just using your unit stash, because that, you know, very, very high guaranteed value of these new reworked champions, a copy of them, is going to also require a little bit of cash or just really, really good luck. So for me personally, Medusa is the one I want the most. Black Panther Civil War is also pretty up there, but they all are really cool reworks, and I am excited that most likely I am going to end up with at least 3 of them, and I will be able to awaken one of them, which is pretty cool. Now, finally, I want to talk a little bit about rank 4s, right? There's always the sense of, oh my god, the top whale is going to end up with a ton of rank 4s. Well, looking at the math, I really do not see the top spender in this event having more than 3 total. And this is possible that somebody could totally surprise us and spend, you know, over 6 figures of money and end up with 4. But the way the breakdown is, the top 1 in the solo event for the realm event spending is going to get 2 rank 4 gems, and then the top number 2 through 60 is going to get 1 rank 4 gem. So those are the only sort of guaranteed ones, and then the remaining ones basically are going to be from the SBCs themselves. There's a rare drop of 1% of a single tier 7 basic available there. And then for the Alliance awards, there is a little bit, but even the top 1 Alliance in the world, they only get 1 half of a single tier 7 basic, which is 1/6 of a catalyst, right? So, you know, let's talk about like the number 1 spender in the game. They get the guaranteed 2, and then they'll get like half of a catalyst for the you know, the Alliance event, but then they need to come up with another 2.5 tier 7 basics. And I had a little bit of access to some numbers. I won't, you know, spoil it until you see it live in game, but essentially the math that I did is if you spend about $20,000 on average, you will get 1.25 tier 7 basics from the RNG, right? So we're talking about not even a 1.5. And you need, you know, even if you get first place in the Alliance, you still need to somehow come up with 2.5. So you'd have to spend, you know, what is that? I guess like in the 50, 60,000 range. So I do think somebody will do that and somebody will end up with 3. But I do think that the vast majority of the players that land in the top 60, you know, at most, they will maybe some of them will have 2, but most of those people will get the 1 guaranteed from the gem, and then they will have started forming more tier 7 basics, so they get it a little bit faster, right? So the top whales in my prediction are going to have between 1 and 2, and there's going to maybe be like 1 person that has 3. I don't think this is going to be a situation where somebody ends up with like 4 or 5. They would have to get incredibly lucky. And also spend like a ton. So, you know, I'm happy to be proven wrong on that. But I remember a couple years ago when rank 5s came out, that was the year I think that Magus went crazy and ended up with like 5 maxed out 6 stars at the end of Banquet before we even had Eternity of Pain for the first rank 5 gem. I don't think we're going to see more than like 2 or 3. But again, I could be proven wrong because, you know, some people are very motivated to get there and can also get very lucky with the drop rates. Now, what this also means, I did cover this a little bit in my when our rank 4 is going to come video, is that we are going to likely see rank 4 in content in like end of January, February, maybe at the latest March, because we are going to get 1 tier 7 basic for the Karina's challenges. That is, you know, a guaranteed one that we know is on the way. So I don't think it's going to be that long before we see 2 more of those catalysts, and all summoners that are doing the endgame content will have enough resources to get their first rank 4. So we're looking at 1 person maybe having 3, some top whales having 2, 60 people or so having 1, and then the rest of the community will catch up with their first one in about a month. That's not too bad. That doesn't scare me too much. Overall, I'm pretty excited about this event. I've been saving the units. I have 30K. Like I said, I'm likely going to spend them in small bursts and get to that Isophene milestone and then just chill for a while. You know, I do have extra units, so if I feel like having a little bit of extra fun, I might buy a couple extra crystals, but not spending any cash because this is what these units are for. And I just highly encourage you all to have a good attitude and to have fun and to not spend or use units more than you think you should. You should hold on to some units because we never know what kind of content is coming out, and you may still have to do the Karina's challenges, so I don't suggest zeroing out your units. And, you know, overall, again, just have fun. Know that this event has a purpose to keep the lights on for this game. And I'm sure if the game team had a way to not do this event, they would. If they could just continue creating great content and not need this big fundraiser, they would, but they need it. And you just have to look at it as like, you know, this is how life is. And sometimes you need to support the things that you enjoy doing. And this is a free-to-play game, and a lot of people spend a lot of money on it, and that's why we have such a good game, and they're able to continue to develop it. And that's kind of the bottom line. So anyway, let me know your thoughts. Hopefully this was a little helpful for you. If there was anything I missed out or you have any questions, hopefully I'll be able to answer it in the comments. Share it with your alliance, and good luck with your openings later today. Have a good one, and I'll catch you in the next one.